Hey everyone, Ben here. Now I've just made the biggest upgrade to my sim racing setup in over 5 years, moving from a track racer TR8 cockpit to my first ever aluminium profile rig.
That's because the good people at SimLab offered to send me a P1X Pro to use when I'm racing. So a disclaimer at the top of this video, I did not pay for the equipment I'm going to be talking about. And while I do have an affiliate code that you can use in the description to help support the channel, at no time has there been any obligation on me to feature the equipment on the channel, and certainly no expectation for me to say positive things about it. All thoughts here are entirely my own, based on my own experience using the rig over the past few weeks. It's also worth saying I'm not really a sim racing product review guy. The downside of that is I can't tell you how this particular bit of kit compares to every other aluminium profile rig on the market. The upside is you get the unvarnished view of a sim racer whose primary focus is on the enjoyment and immersion of sim racing itself. So hopefully what follows is helpful to you.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the least enjoyable part of this experience. Let me explain.
When the SimLab P1X Pro arrived at my door, I confess I was a bit daunted. I'd heard a lot of praise for aluminium profile rigs, but having come from a track racer TR8, I wasn't sure how big a leap the switch would really be, and this suddenly looked like a big project. As anyone who knows me will attest, I am not a DIY person. The thought of unpacking dozens of bolts, brackets, profiles and components filled me with mild dread. And to be clear, there's no getting away from the fact that this is a pretty involved construction process, and you will likely get a bit of a sweat on putting it all together. Thankfully though, I did find the process to be more logical and straightforward than I'd feared. It was hard work, but the instructions were decent and the packaging well organised, even if it did require some patience. Most of the rig came together in just a few hours, and it was mostly intuitive in terms of how things slotted together. That said, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Installing the seat slider in particular was, frankly, a nightmare. It took multiple attempts, a few swear words, and far more time than it probably should have, and in the end, I actually abandoned trying and manually set the seat to where I needed it to be. Likewise, the very nature of this construction is that once you think you're done, in reality, you're only getting started. To get everything set up the way you want, with the right distances between seat, screen and pedal deck, demands more tinkering and adjustment until it's just right for you. This might well try the patience of many. I ended up working through it in a few stages, in part because my sim room was unbelievably hot during the summer months this year.
However, the actual installation of sim racing hardware onto the rig itself was pretty straightforward. I didn't have to make any adjustments or drill any new holes to get my sim magic gear mounted.
Now it's all set up, I don't intend on readjusting things endlessly, and being honest, I am glad that this part of the experience is over. But even for a DIY noob like me, it was doable, and as I'll get into shortly, the benefits of the aluminium profile setup are pretty big. From the first lap I drove with the P1X Pro, the difference was obvious. The rigidity of the aluminium profile chassis is superb. My old rig, the track racer TR8, served me well, but in hindsight it had more flex than I realised. Under heavy braking or aggressive force feedback, there was always a bit of movement, and over time, bolts would quite frequently need tightening to keep things in place. That was particularly true of the wheel deck, which after extended use would be prone to drop under the weight of the wheel and force feedback. With the P1X Pro, all of that is gone. It's rock solid. In subtle ways, that means you can focus more easily while feeling more connected to the sim, more confident and more precise in your inputs. And ultimately, it's not just about rigidity. The P1X Pro has a premium feel to it. Because it's raised off the floor, I'm no longer lowering myself down into the rig, but rather climbing into it. The finish on the black anodized aluminium also looks and feels fantastic.
This chair is very comfortable. I'm a 6'4" northern fella with an unfortunately wide middle, damn it, and it hugs me very well without being too much of a squeeze, and this one even comes with some Broca branding.
Overall, it just feels like a serious piece of kit built for serious sim racers. One of my early concerns was whether this rig would actually fit in my sim racing space, which is an awkwardly shaped attic room with very little spare space. To my surprise and relief, the P1X Pro fits pretty much exactly into the same footprint as my old rig. It does look bigger and is more substantial, but despite being a more robust and configurable platform, it does remain reasonably compact. One exception here is the width of the monitor mount, which does extend beyond my 34-inch screen, which may mean it's a little bit more snug depending on the space that you have. One of the standout features of the rig is its customizability. The level of adjustability on offer could even be a bit overwhelming. Everything from the pedal deck height and angle to the wheel mount position and monitor distance can be tweaked to perfection. The process of doing so is pretty user friendly, a case of loosening the T-nuts and sliding the rig into your desired position. But this is both a blessing and a curse. It means that you can get your ideal sitting position, but achieving that requires tweaking various parts of the rig, and each by its nature has an impact on the positioning of the other. The temptation to constantly tinker can absolutely take up more time than it's probably worth. But joking aside, it really does make a difference. Being able to dial in the ergonomics exactly how I want has made longer stints in the rig far more comfortable. I used to get the occasional back or knee ache after an hour or two of sim racing. Now I find myself going longer without needing a break. The flexibility of the design, together with a very helpful Daniel Morad video, is a big reason why. Another area where the P1X Pro shines is the installation of hardware. Whether it's pedals, wheelbases or accessories, mounting everything was straightforward. Given the design, the rig should be compatible with all pedal sets, and there's enough adjustability built in to get your preferred angle and height dialed in without drama. The same goes for the wheel deck. SimLab offers both front mount and side mount options for direct drive bases, and everything lined up perfectly for my Sim Magic Evo wheelbase. As for the pricing, at the time of writing, the SimLab P1X Pro retails in the UK for around £760 in its most basic configuration, without a monitor mount or seat. With those included, you're looking at a price that's north of £1,000. That puts it firmly in the premium category, albeit that is reflected in the quality of the final product, in my opinion.
Now, in truth, this is my third ever sim rig. I started out at the beginning with a Playseat Challenge, moved up to the Track Racer TR8, and now I'm sitting in the SimLab P1X Pro.
If I had my time again, with the benefit of hindsight, I do think I'd spend the extra money and make the jump straight from an entry-level setup like the Playseat Challenge to an aluminium profile rig. The rock-solid feel, the premium build quality, the flexibility in setup, and the overall comfort, each of these incremental improvements do add up. And the fact that I, someone who would rather run a mile than build flat-pack furniture, was able to assemble it with only minor frustrations should hopefully ease the concerns of anyone who thinks that this all sounds like too much faff.
So yes, of course this rig is a much more expensive option than more entry-level rigs. And yes, it can look like a pretty daunting project when you see all of the boxes and all of the components for the first time. However, as I sit here today, I really enjoyed using it, and I can't really see why I'm not going to continue enjoying it for many years to come.
But these are just my thoughts on moving to an aluminium profile rig. I'd love to hear your experience too, so let me know in the comments. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you on the next one.